Should be good to go. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for popping in this month of May 20th, for our Inland SoCal Housing Collective General Meeting. I appreciate seeing you guys all here. I know that May is a busy time. They call it like the Maycember, right? Of just all the activities happening. So we appreciate your time here. Um, we have three speakers for today, sharing out some really information, some timely information, and that's why we decided to go with three for today and our normal, no longer our normal two. But to kick us off, we have Emmanuel here from the CityLAB UCLA, who's going to spend a few minutes with us talking about the Small Lots Big Impact project that we've been discussing and following in our expansion of housing solutions pillar. So, Emmanuel, if you want to come off mute, I could also give you presenter rights if you need to share anything out.
Perfect. Yeah. If you could give me presenter rights, that would be lovely. 1 second, guys. Sorry.
Welcome, Manos. Ayako here.
Yes.
Thanks for
Thanks,
being
Ayako. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Um, okay. I think I should be ready to go. Um, can you guys see that okay?
Perfect. Yep.
Cool. So, my name is Manos Proussaloglou. Thanks for the introduction. And I work at CityLAB UCLA. We're a think tank headquartered in the UCLA Department of Architecture and Urban Design. UCLA, or sorry, well, UCLA too, but CityLAB has a long history of working in and around California on a wide variety of housing related initiatives. We were founded about 20 years ago by Dana Cuff, Dr. Dana Cuff. And there's a number of projects that I think are particularly noteworthy. There's a lot of information on our website for people that want to learn more about what we do. But Dana and the team was really fundamental on the initial push for ADUs, actually, back in the 2010s, and co-wrote AB 2299, the law that really unlocked a lot of development, ADU development across California. Since then, we've been focused on maybe, let's say, the projects to the right of that accessory dwelling unit slide. So something we call education workforce housing, helping K through 12 school districts across the state build housing on their land. They actually have a whole lot of underutilized land, but not a whole lot of control over how much they pay their educators and staff who want to live and work in the communities in which they teach. So this project has been helping school districts build workforce housing for their staff. Small Lots Big Impacts, which we'll talk about more today. Initiative with the mayor's office to build on public and private small parcels of land all across Los Angeles. And then the last one actually was after the horrible fires of last year. We've been doing a lot of work in Altadena and helped stand up just a couple months ago, really, prefab showcase. So we had 6 prefab vendors bring their wares really to an empty county-owned lot, from small ADUs up to full single-family homes. Help people understand, some of the potential benefits of prefab, some of its potential drawbacks, if it might be a good solution for them in rebuilding quickly, and published a how-to handbook as well. So a lot of really relevant, I think, housing work, and a lot of stuff that's focused on not only kind of conducting academic research, but also trying to build demonstration projects, trying to create systems that have financing, architecture, design, development all included in them, and that also are really focused on education and teaching people how to take advantage of new opportunities in the state. So, small lots, big impacts. This is something we've been working on for just about 2 years now, and there's been a variety of steps that we've completed and sort of steps that we're on the doorstep of completing. The initiative in general is really focused on trying to build missing middle housing, term I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. We kind of term that somewhere between 3 to maybe 20 units on a lot. Um, and we've been working with the city of LA to try to find land, publicly owned land. That's what you see sort of in the top right. City-owned parcels that have been sitting vacant for a long time that are so small, really, even though they're not that small. They're about 10,000 square feet, a quarter acre, that the city didn't really know what to do with them. They're below the size that public agencies often build housing on, and it was sort of outside of their wheelhouse. We've been working with the city to try to unlock development on those public lands. We hosted a design competition back in May, really incredibly successful. You can see some of the submissions in the bottom corner. And there's a lot more work on our website, Small Lots, Big Impacts at ucla.edu, citylab.ucla.edu, kind of long website. But you can see all the amazing work and all the great ideas for kind of what infill housing might look like. Just the other week, Ayako was there as well. We released a request for information to kind of extend the initiative beyond public land, but also to build on private parcels of land that are small, residentially zoned. One of the big focal points of the work has been trying to show that we can build this kind of housing without needing big variances or sort of kind of big allowances from local government, that new state legislation and existing zoning actually can work at this scale. On that private RFI side, the selected teams are going to have access to a really incredible financing package delivered by Genesis LA, a local community development financial institution that'll cover up to 95% of total costs. So it's a really incredible financing deal. That's out now. It's on the market, or not on the market. I guess it's available for people to submit to. The submissions are due June 12th. And we just kind of opened the effort. There's a whole lot more information, like I said, on our website. And then hopefully in the coming months, we'll also be releasing the request for qualifications to build on public land. In that effort, there's actually sites included in the document that we've already cleared with the city and made available. On the private side, it's for teams to find the sites and sort of submit their ideas to us. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. There's a couple more things I can talk about just briefly, which is to say, this was really one of the starting points of our effort. We started with the city of LA, as I mentioned, and found that the city of Los Angeles, admittedly a big landholder in the region, but other cities also have sort of similar situations as far as we can tell. We've now started working at the wider LA County scale too. But the city of LA owns something like 4,000 lots that are quarter acre or less, and already zoned for residential construction. About 1,000 of those are also vacant. So there's this really kind of incredible land resource that the city has at its disposal. Admittedly, some of those lots are slated for use for a particular department or have contamination and things like that. But there's a large number of public lands, even these smaller public lands, that can be used to drive housing development. And then the map on the right is what really got us excited about expanding the initiative to private land too, which is to say we've done GIS analysis, found there's something like 20,000 privately owned lots across the city of LA that have the same characteristics. So vacant or heavily underutilized with a kind of abandoned building on them, about a quarter acre and already zoned to allow for residential construction. So that's really the opportunity that we're trying to unlock with the initiative. Yeah, I think that's sort of the overview. Again, there's a lot more information on our website. I'm happy to answer more questions, but right now the RFI is available for teams to propose developments on private land and to get financing to actually be able to build them. So we're super excited about that.
Thank you, Manos. That's amazing. And again, for those of us in the IE, we're not saying that you are going to come and be one of the bidders for this privately owned land RFI that's out, but we wanted to share this information with you to give us inspiration, right? Look what one city can do. They took city-owned and privately owned, underutilized small lots and said, look how many there are. And we know in IE there's a lot also. And then look what can be done. How can we be inspired? They found a very innovative funding source. Again, as Mano said, 95% of the total development budget for these privately owned lots can be financed. Can IE do something similar that fits the IE? We don't need to replicate exactly, but what makes sense for the IE? This is just some inspiration for us to consider.
Yeah.
Any questions for Manos?
Not for Manos, but Ayako, we actually did take on a very similar venture more recently with exploring tax delinquent properties in the IE.
That's right.
And working with UCR. That was the first phase, but ideally this is what we want to get to eventually is really mapping out the entire IE, looking at any opportunities, and then opportunities within opportunities. I think we went directly to, again, something that would be sort of a derivative of what Emmanuel's doing. And I think that's my suggestion to them, is also look at tax delinquency within those privately owned properties to see where there might be immediate opportunities to acquire and develop. And then we were also applying, sort of utilizing an SB 1023 model to that, where we can utilize extremely small lots. I'm talking 2,500 square feet,
Yeah.
and utilizing that as a potential tool to see what's working and what's not. We have to kind of work as a market maker, as a developer, in many ways, because of appraisal issues or lack of appraisals for such small homes and lack of precedent. But I think it's absolutely doable, and this is what everybody should be doing, is understanding fundamentally where everything is and how we can build towards a future that's going to work for all. So
Yeah.
great stuff, and love what you're doing also in Altadena with the prefab. What's the two of the factories we sourced from, Clayton and I think Silvercrest, had some units available on those sites, and we are working with LACDA. So happy to touch base with you at a later time on anything related to that as well.
That's great. Yeah, I'd also just mention the 11 the policy environment, I guess, to put it clearly, that's available now in California is, new housing policy gets passed every day. It's kind of hard to keep track. But at this scale, there's a really incredible opportunity now, as you said, 1123, even SB 9 from a couple years ago. There's new parking reduction requirements that make some of these projects a little more feasible. So what we're trying to do with the initiative is really exactly what you were mentioning, is build a handful of demonstration projects, right, that actually show us how do people use these policies, what are the hiccups that they run into, what are the kind of best practices as you do that. And part of the intentions of the program are also to make it really open book, right? So to share the development approaches that work, to share the design approaches that work, and to use that as a way to spur more. Building, I think, and building demonstration projects has been something that CityLAB has really focused on, and I think it's a really effective way to pressure test all these new laws.
Yeah, can I add something real quick on that? One of the in LA, we're sourcing some factory built units in the LA area, where the biggest pressure point that we're seeing is local jurisdictions imposing additional requirements that are
Sure.
illegal, really. And that's something to keep an eye on. I'm sure you're probably going through that as well, but we're helping a couple of nonprofits in Los Angeles right now with factory built units, and they're exposing fire sprinklers, requesting solar, which is all good things, right? And
Totally.
you have them and everything, but they're just adding layer over layer of stuff that HCD has already said you can't do that, local jurisdictions, on factory built stuff. Yeah.
It's ultimately bringing up the cost of development for them, where it's already done, but they want folks to adopt systems that are already been approved. And then you're paying just for that, somebody to take on liability, which is really unfair and unfortunate. So anyway.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
And
thank you, guys.
for those of you, we'll put it in the link, but CityLAB also produced, he mentioned a design competition. So you could look at some of the designs that were awarded for these small lots. So again, to get some inspiration. So
yeah, I mean, we didn't make them, right? I mean, we made the opportunity for others, but they're amazing. It's really a great repository on the website.
Yeah, some really innovative stuff there. And to kind of help ground this a little bit, the Expansion of Housing Solutions pillar has been discussing this and really following this since it started, and with the hopes of identifying a city in the region, or maybe a couple of cities or area that this might work. As we know in the IE we have open lots.
For sure.
And to also think of this as a strategy for our middle housing, right? How do we create affordable, natural occurring middle housing? Because that's where it's kind of, in terms of capital stacking, how it's panning out. But as a way to just really target that housing typology within this larger housing ecosystem, and to move folks through the housing continuum. So
yeah, there's two more things I just add briefly, Melanie. The first is, I mentioned this, and I know the county doesn't entirely stretch to Inland Empire also, but we're about to start working with La Casa, the new countywide housing solutions agency, a really kind of incredible group of people, to replicate this model, sort of do this kind of land analysis and help smaller cities in LA County also kind of do accelerate them, right? Like sort of help them jumpstart so they don't have to start back where LA City did, but can start kind of closer to where we are now.
Yeah.
And also Alameda County is actually doing something somewhat similar. It's called the Shift program. A little bit different and sort of again slightly different priorities, I guess, but a similar idea of trying to use smaller public parcels to build middle housing. So if you haven't heard of that initiative, take a look. They're doing great work, and we're kind of collaborating with them too.
Awesome. I will. We'll dig into that because I hadn't heard of them. So, um, well, we thank you so much,
No
Manos, for
problem. Thanks
coming
for having me. I
on.
really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate we really
Yeah,
appreciate you coming in and providing an update
sure.
um, to us
Manos,
all. And we'll be pulling in, maybe trying to draw some connections, seeing if there's some cities interested or wanting to learn more, and maybe making that kind of bridge to the IE and
Great.
see what that makes
Yeah.
sense. So
Happy to stay involved as much as helpful. So appreciate it, everyone.
appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so let me see real quick. Um, So we're really appreciative of the cityLAB, UCLA, and the Small Lots Big Impact. So if you guys want to join or learn more about that, we're continuing that conversation in our pillar, our Housing Solutions pillar. Let me know if you're not connected, because I could connect you to that monthly meeting if you want to follow along. And so we'll go ahead and move on to our second presenter, who they're all raring to go and jumping in. And so I really appreciate NPHS coming in and sharing a little bit about their new platform that they launched. I know that it was announced in the newsletter not too long ago, and I know there's been some grumblings, or it's just been some information gathering on, well, what is this? And so we're really excited to have you guys on and to share a little bit more about the Homes and Hope. And so, Jesse, if you want to jump in, I'll make sure you have presenter rights. There you go. You should be good to go.
And while Jesse's queuing that up, he allowed me to give a 1 minute remark real quick. And that is, true to, so you guys got to understand that NPHS in itself is a platform. 10 years ago, we took the journey of not what program can we develop to help the communities, but we started looking at what ecosystems can we develop to lift communities up. We're not looking at a program level, but more of a connected, programmatic, vertically integrated ecosystem of programs, if you will, that allows us to do more with less. So when we took on the journey of exploring multifamily, true to our nature, when we did our first project, Sunrise at Beauregard, which is still under construction, we're like, this is just a broken system. It costs too much money to build. It's a headache. The project almost died. Well, actually did die, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 times or something or the other. Then it came back and it's off to the races. So anyway, so we as a team said, well, wait a minute. There's got to be a way to share risk, share revenue, right? And be able to really get into this space and look at ways of scaling with just not one project at a time. But is there an opportunity to look at a platform or take something and make it into a platform to look at multifamily? So I just wanted to give kind of a precursor to what Jess is going to discuss and the reasoning as why this platform is true to the nature of NPHS. Take it away, Jess.
Awesome. Thank you, Clemente. And you never need any permission to speak. So don't let the name fool you of the presentation. It's our Community Investment Trust. We've been utilizing some of these slides for fundraising, specifically through the CDFI. As we are a vertically integrated organization, as we mentioned, we are utilizing every tool we can to advance affordable home ownership and affordable housing in general and create more impact in our communities. For those of you who don't know, we are a HUD counseling agency, we are a CDFI, and we're a housing developer. More recently, we've gotten into the policy and research space as well. The focus is, again, on this particular presentation is our platform and utilizing, Homes and Hope as our multifamily arm, essentially, to be able to not only expand into new regions that we've normally been unable, or it's just a capacity issue or just other reasons we haven't been into, but also into a space that is very risky. As Clemente mentioned, we had our first multifamily project, permanent supportive housing project, We're about 70% complete with that, and it looks like it's going to be a great success, but it didn't go without its trials and tribulations and very scary moments. As we've lost site control, we couldn't fundraise, and we ended up pulling it off at the very end. But it was quite a bit for an organization like ours, and so we feel like we can do a lot more with better. And the idea is, again, putting together the parties that are going to ultimately be able to consolidate some of the supply chain and provide savings to the consumer at the end of the day. And so the trust itself, this was meant for, investment into various programs through the CDFI. And what we're looking to do now is raise money specifically, which we've never done, raise money for pre-development and acquisition loans to advance projects. And so what projects are we talking about? I'm going to skip over some of these. This is the main one topic we want to discuss is, again, affordable housing fund. It goes towards anything affordable housing development related, both single family and multifamily. And we would recycle the capital to continue on in pushing more projects. One of the ways that we're going to do this is working with Homes and Hope. NPHS last year partnered and acquired ownership in Homes and Hope, which is a for-profit affordable housing developer. The main players are McCarthy Companies, who's a construction company out of Ventura County, and they're very large construction company. Have worked on a myriad of affordable housing projects in the region. And Alex Russell, who's their founder and current CEO, who worked at many mansions as a partner. Him and his team were all partnered with us and worked with us on the Sunrise at Bogart project. And when we learned Alex was going to branch off and lead this charge, we were very supportive and wanted to work together and continue working together. And that's how all of this sort of aligns. So we have mutually benefiting sort of terms here and mission, where NPHS is the nonprofit. We can provide things like not management services, but we'll call them, we can operate as the managing general partner and provide a welfare exemption. We provide an entry into a new market for them, and they provide an entry for a new market to us. For example, we've mostly been focused on the Inland Empires, East LA County, San Bernardino, Riverside County. We started moving into other regions like Imperial County and San Diego more recently in terms of our core programmatic services, like our down payment assistance and our home rehab, but not on any development. So combined now, we can serve the entire area of Southern California, starting all the way up into San Luis Obispo down to San Diego. So that is a huge benefit, just having a mission-driven, community-based organization like NPHS who can work on the grassroots efforts and also have local relationships here in the region, and also have a CHOTO status to be able to bring in more capital and bring in a different type of thinking when it comes to these developments. And it's not just from a for-profit perspective, it's really a mission-driven activity. And we take and choose projects that we feel are going to be beneficial to the community, not take away from it, the community. And obviously, having McCarthy, having a contractor on board is fantastic. Now, we can't sole source, and we typically don't sole source any contracts to them. However, they are bidders, and they also provide insight in the background when we do receive proposals, or we're just trying to get an idea of what a total development cost is going to look like on a project. We have experts on hand to be able to provide that essentially pro bono at no cost. And then we share, obviously, all in our back office work, from accounting to, project managers, you name it. And so this is really a shared model where we're coming together to increase our ability to do more work and more efficiently, and with less risk. And so we share in the reward, we also share in the risk. I'll move on to what this is. I'll get to the pipeline and what everybody cares about in just a second, but wanted to make sure we see the sort of vertical integration in all the different steps and how that really gets to a scalable pipeline execution. We've got nonprofit, private sector, and even our partners that come together. We have this vertically integrated delivery service where, again, we're bringing in all of our tools and resources from homebuyer education, financial literacy, as resident services, providing welfare exemptions to actual homebuyer education and beyond, and our ability to underwrite down payment assistance programs and things like that. Having reduced barriers, right, in the housing delivery through some of the sources that we utilize, like manufactured homes, and also, again, having a professional construction company who can validate some of the numbers that we're throwing into our performas. Having, controlled environments that's really related to the ecosystems that we've all developed, and then also the type of housing that we utilize. And then our standard process across projects. I mean, we're really trying to create a standardization where we know very quickly whether or not we can say yes or no. We have a go, no go sort of matrix that helps us identify projects that we want to spend time exploring versus projects that we feel, may not go anywhere or are going to take a very long time, have a very long runway, and may exhaust efforts and resources, and that could be going towards other projects that are more feasible and they could be more impactful. Cost and schedule certainty, again, relates back to all of our efforts to combine and with McCarthy. And then lower development risk, as you'll see how we set up some of these transactions. We have various levels of engagement depending on the project and where it's at, etc. So now I'm going to share the project pipeline. We have really 2,300 potential units in the pipeline. Out of those 2,300 units, we're zooming into just the 1,400 plus that we currently have under site control. So all of these that you see here are under site control, are in various stages of development. Some are already going to be obtaining their tax credits and start construction. Some are still very early on in just, beginning stages. But as you can see, it's spread throughout Southern California. We have all the way up in Ventura County, Santa Paula Motel. We have Lockwood 3 project, which is an interesting project because you have to understand NPHS is not a partner specifically on all of these projects. Homes and Hope is. And it doesn't mean that they're the lead developer either on all of these projects. There are also other partners involved in these projects. Lockwood 3, for example, this is Cypress Equity Investments and the Waterford Company. They're funding this with 100% private money. And so this is something that we are not used to, and a lot of nonprofits are not used to doing. And it's something we want to learn. So we're actually learning from each other during this process too, is becoming a partner, even if it's a small role. This is the way that we learn how others are doing things, and there could be best practices that we can incorporate into the way that we're doing our business as well. Most of these 100% of these are all LIHTC, so these will be all low-income housing tax credit projects, both 4 and 9%. And some of them do have public subsidy, but again, I just wanted to utilize that as an example that, we're not, NPHS and Homes and Hope is not necessarily leading every charge, and we come and go as we feel like we're bringing in value and gaining value from the relationship and from the development, and ensuring that this is going to be the best thing for the community and for the organizations involved.
Hey, Jesse, can I add something real quick to your point there? Can you back to the map? One of the things that we wanted to make sure that this platform was inclusive. Yes, NPHS has ownership, equal ownership amongst the other owners, but it's a platform meant to partner with other folks. Let's say in Ventura County, there's a nonprofit that has an opportunity, but they're saying, hey, you know what? I want to do this multifamily, but I just don't have the experience, or I just don't have the capacity, or I just don't want to do it alone. Homes and Hope can come in and say, hey, we can be that partner with you if you want. And maybe we can even bring another partner as well. And collectively, we can tackle on this project. So it's a very inclusive platform that also has an element to build regional capacity throughout Southern California to help other nonprofit affordable housing developers enter the multifamily housing space. I would just want to go ahead and make a point on that.
And that's a great point. Now you want me to expand on that, because I'll give you a great example. We have 2 of these projects here you'll see in our region, our Fontana project in San Bernardino. And we actually have some slides on those, and let me see. Here they are. So this is Fontana and San Bernardino. This is a partnership between NPHS, Cabrillo Economic Development Corporation, which is one of our sister organizations, part of our national network, but they're based in Ventura County, and Homes and Hope. So Homes and Hope is the lead developer at 40%. We have Cabrillo at 35% as a managing general partner, and we're acting as a special partner on this project. And this is an opportunity for CDC, our sister organization, to expand into new areas as well. So we're providing them a lead in technically, and they're getting to meet all, our city friends, folks at the county, etc. And so we're helping them as well, and they're helping us by, really being involved in this project. They're not only providing the pre-development support on this, but they're also going to be doing the management and providing the welfare exemption. So there's mutual, again, we find ways that we work together to do more. And that's all this really is. And so both of these projects are an example of that. And I'll go back now to some of these other projects. I won't go into great detail on all of them, but here in this project, this is a 100% affordable project. I mentioned the players, but remember, they're have a very small role. I think they're less than 10%. And by them, I mean Homes and Hope is a partner on this, but it's a huge project, and it's financed completely different than any of us have experience in financing, and we're learning from this quite a bit. And these are tools that we can potentially bring in, especially when we have environments like this where it's low resource, and we don't have a lot of funding from state and federal support. Like, this could be a way that we can still get projects completed with private capital. Topa Vistas is a project, 90 units. I just wanted to share some of these examples of the projects. It's a partnership with CDC and Homes and Hope and the Santa Paula Housing Authority. So all three entities are working together on this particular project. And this one is, I believe, ready. They've already got their LIHTC, or about to get their LIHTC. In Los Angeles County, they've got this deal in Palmdale. And they did just bring in a new partner. So it is 42nd Street Communities, Homes and Hope. And I believe they just brought in another partner on this to share in, again, some of the pre-dev costs and get this project to fruition. Here's another cool one in Burbank. They partner with Burbank Housing Corporation, and it's called The Village at Fairview, 60 units, affordable housing. 15 units are for folks experiencing homeless families, really. And so this one is awesome. I shared with you these two big projects in our region. So these are huge, right? 128 units in Fontana. We got great support from both the county, the state, and the local government. And we've been in communication with them on trying to identify potential funding sources to utilize to get this thing moving. This is a state-owned site, so state technically has sovereign immunity, but we are still working with each municipality in the community on ensuring that the design and what we're constructing is what's best for the community. So yeah, although we can pull the heavy hammer on these because of the the sovereign immunity that the state has, we don't go that direction. We always are very collaborative in our approach and ensure, again, that we have full support across the board. And so far, it's been really great working with both cities and the county on these projects. This unit, this project, is 205 units. It's city of San Bernardino. It's in the right downtown area. This we look to do ASIC. So we'll be applying for Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities funding. So that means that we can potentially bring in an additional $15 to $20 million to the city for transit-related infrastructure and making it a more walkable neighborhood. And so we'll be working with them very closely over the next year or so as we prepare to submit that application on what we can do. And the building itself will also include transit-related amenities that will, again, help encourage new modes of transportation or provide those modes of transportation, make it easier for folks to not have to drive. Heritage Square, something we've been trying to work with the city on for some time. We hope that we get to the next phase on this, but we are interested in building up to 100 units of senior housing, all affordable, 2 different sites. but they're connected enough where we would take this on as one project. This would be a low-income housing tax credit, and we hope to bring this to a theater near you very soon. And then we just wanted to share some of the single family to not leave those out. We have a lot of single family work that's been our bread and butter for years. Here you see a map of various projects, including Shandon Hills. These are some lots that we purchased from Habitat San Bernardino, and we plan to build at least 4 single family homes with 4 ADUs, a total 8 total units. But this is, as I hear the UCLA CityLAB talk, I'm like, maybe we gotta experiment a little here while we got this. We do have a little bit of funding now. We were going to activate one of these lots, but I think it deserves conversation for more. Palm Springs infill, we're utilizing SB9 here. We're at the final stages of getting this map finally recorded. Even though SB9 is supposed to be a much expedited way of doing the lot divisions, it's turned out to be just as onerous as any other subdivision. So we're almost there, thankfully. But this particular lot showing on screen is one that we have a potential to get from HCD. So this is outside of our normal Palm Springs project that we're working on with the city. The state has this lot that they own that they've been trying, but it's very tricky. And if we don't get support from the county, we don't think we can make it happen. So we've got in our application, if we can get that support, then this will be added to the 6 units that we're already building with the city of Palm Springs. And this would be the 7th one. Other potential projects we're exploring, City of Riverside, a couple of lots they own there. We're hoping that they'd be willing to move on these, but we don't know, and it's okay if they don't. But we threw these in our pipeline as potentials here. And then City of Chino has several lots that we've been negotiating with them on. These were supposed to be part of their expansion. They were going to expand that Chino Avenue. Didn't happen. I guess they're back to conversations whether or not it may happen. But if not, we've proposed building at least 7 homes on these vacant parcels. And these would be our typical types of build where it's manufactured on permanent foundations, and they will have all the bells and whistles from solar, battery storage, wildfire prepared, etc. And here's just a capital breakdown. I won't go into details of that and bore you with all that. Any questions? That's a lot. I know. Sorry, but I'm in the weeds. I know you guys aren't, so I'm sorry if I went a little quick. Any questions about maybe the structure or how we're setting up any agreements or no?
Jesse, I was going to say if someone wanted to partner with you or look at the possibility of moving one of their projects, what does that process look like and how can they do that? Who's the person and how do they do that?
Absolutely reach out to me, and if you're interested, and let us know. We're literally accepting and turning down projects every week. So this is an interesting time for NPHS in that we're getting a lot of projects like, hey, we've got this, come and get it, and we're saying no because again, it may be too long of a runway. It's just we don't feel like we're going to add a lot of value. So we're open to discussion and to bring in partners. And there could be, we already actually talked to some folks on this call, and we're going to do some follow up on how we can partner on some potential projects that are coming up that we're interested in applying for.
And on that note, some Orange County organizations have approached us to do some potential multifamily through the Homes at Home platform to bring in some really good. Keep in mind that platform has 6 or 7 project managers that are leveraged with the existing project managers of the other partners. So there is a lot of heavy lifting, some heavy hitters that can bring these projects to fruition. So we're looking at Orange County right now and bringing the platform there to do some quite innovative things around multifamily. And I plug that in because I see some Orange County folks in here. So.
And Elizabeth just dropped a question about, are you coming to Orange County too? So
that's who I saw, and that's why I said it.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought. I knew it couldn't be coincidental.
Got my bestie Elizabeth, yeah.
Okay, I'm glad. And that's why I'm glad that was handled. So thank you. I also wanted to say, is there is there a priority type of, you have multifamily, but is it certain amount of units? Is it a lot is there any type of prioritization or interest or strategy you guys are having even within those projects, like some type of focus? And I say that maybe you guys are literally building the train too as you go. So I know there's a lot of learning and and being nimble and flexible. But is there some overall strategy or focus area that you guys are targeting, or it's just kind of like, let's get creative, send them all?
Yeah, no, it's really send them all. Like we're trying to even acquire, we didn't put it up here, but we're looking at acquiring potential mobile home parks as well, which makes sense for us as we're a manufactured housing dealer and also have done community land trusts, and we feel like this is an interesting space, and we now have some partners who can help with management and sort of helping with the entire process of acquiring and rehabbing and relocating and doing all of that goes into it. So we're really flexible, and it's really, what the community needs. Each project is very different. As you can see, the only thing they share in common is that they're all 100% affordable. But they all serve different target markets, in terms of, like, we have some that are geared towards veterans or seniors versus homeless, right? So we're really not like, oh, it has to be this only. We're really open to it. We are obviously always going to be the group that is going to keep wanting to promote and inject home ownership in anything we can possibly find. But we understand that all housing types are needed, not just one or the other. So we just, that's what we're trying to bring to the table, is like a ownership perspective. How do we potentially, even if this is a multifamily project, how do we elevate the tenants to maybe eventually become homeowners, or at least build on their financial capacity? And we do that again through our vertically integrated services that I mentioned. So that's why, again, I think all of these things work together. We should have been doing this a long time ago, really. I mean, so many projects I think would have been saved if you look at some of the operational issues that folks have had, especially when working with the unhoused populations. I think working with closely with nonprofits and community-based organizations, they would have probably been able to avoid some of those issues, and kept those buildings would have still been retained. And it's unfortunate, but we're doing it now. And I think this is an interesting model in that it's like, we don't have, like, CRDC has a kind of a model that does the same thing. They partner, but that's all they do. They kind of create a new entity to then partner on a specific project. We have an entity that is always the partner in any different way. And so it's a little bit different and tweaked in that. And again, it's the type of people that came together to really launch and enhance every project that we put in the pipeline. I think that's very special about this.
That's great. And so I just want to thank you, Jesse and Clemente, for coming on and sharing a little bit more about, Homes and Hope. I think it's a great asset to our region. And I know that there's so many great developers on this that are very creative, that want to build, that, financing and capital is always going to be it's always going to be the barrier. And so, knowing that this resource is here, and that it really just broadens our deeper knowledge, right, in the region too, is super helpful for creativity and to really see if those innovative solutions or innovative projects can be built out. I think your partnership and this resource in the region is super helpful in achieving that too. So,
Can I just
um,
say, can we have a quick round of applause for NPHS, Clemente, Jesse? This is amazing work.
thank you guys.
Amazing.
Look at it all coming off.
I know you're honest, Ayako, so that's why I take that as a great compliment. Because I
Amazing.
know it's
And
coming
I
from a
love
real place.
expanding mobile home parks. I feel like if we can just remove some of the stigma, it's such a economical way for home ownership. So,
And just a note on that, our policy team, Ryan, has done some
yeah,
amazing work there. I don't know if you followed SB 996, but it's moved out of appropriations and with flying colors. So now the Senate Committee and Appropriations have given it the thumbs up, and it should be going on. And what that's going to do is allow for homes on non-permanent foundations owned by a resident-owned community, nonprofit, or CLT to be titled as real property. So that's going to open up financing and bring down the cost of financing manufactured homes in these types of parks. So this is really
amazing.
exciting
Very
time. So
amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. So yeah, there's a lot of great work happening in our region, especially around that mobile home space too. and even possible opportunities for some co-op. So more to come, more folks talking about that and trying to pilot and lead and provide information to everyone, to the greater region, so that way we can build affordable housing and preserve affordable housing. So I see, so again, thank you, NPHS. We are speaking of policy and legislation and advocacy in our region. Our last presenter, I saw pop on, so we have Araceli Palafox, who is the co-chair of our Educate and Advocate for Public Policy pillar. She's from Enterprise Community Solutions. So, Araceli, thank you for jumping on. I know you've been juggling multiple meetings because we have a hot topic at hand. We have, the May revised budget was released, and you all have some call to actions that we wanted to elevate to the greater group because this is the week that it needs to happen. So, I wanted to put out some stuff or challenge us all with whatever Araceli has to say or with some of the pointers that is connected in the newsletter that went out yesterday. Let's make space for that this week, and maybe we all do it on a certain day, or that we all just set aside time to do this. So our IE voice and our budget reflects housing, capital for housing. So, Araceli, do you need presenter rights?
I don't think so. That sounds cool though, presenter rights. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I just have a few things to share on the May revise. And yeah, we'll continue to ride that NPHS wave of positivity because they are doing amazing things and also at the state level. So shout out to all of you there. But yeah, so I know this came up in the last presentation, but our many of the bills that many of us are working on and tracking at this point have, made it through are making it through their respective houses. They were heard in their committees and then appropriation, and now are headed to their second house to be heard. I know many of you are working actively on pieces of legislation, whether you're engaging or sponsoring or supporting or opposing. So all of that is keeping folks busy. But one kind of top priority for many of us as well has been our advocacy work around the state budget. So I'm here to share just kind of a brief budget on the May revise and a call to action that we are organizing. So many of you have probably already seen that the governor released the May budget revise last Thursday. And so that is typically signaling negotiations ramping up between the legislature and the governor's office. And you may have also seen that the Senate and the Assembly released their own proposals for the budget. But what you need to know about the May revise, at least as it relates to housing, and to not much of a surprise, it did not include any new funding for affordable housing, which makes our advocacy work that much more critical. We at Enterprise, alongside Housing California, co-convene a statewide housing and homelessness budget coalition. And every year we do this work to ensure that critical housing and homelessness programs get funding and that our housing challenges are being met through the budget. And so this year we are advocating for $3.3 billion that would go to critical housing and homelessness programs. You can see those outlined in the letter that I linked in the chat. I know some of you have already signed on to this budget letter, and thank you for your support and your engagement on these budget efforts. And if you haven't, it's never too late. I can also send the form for you to be added to the letter. But between now and really the middle of June is really the most critical time to be advocating. We know that the legislature must pass a budget by June 15th, and then it will be signed by the end of June. So we have a lot of attention on the budget among our partner organizations, and really just a couple critical weeks to be advocating for funding. And so what we've also been doing along this process is developing these call to actions. And Mel, I don't know if you can link it in the chat. I don't have it handy, but I can try to find it. But we at Enterprise also have worked with our coalition to develop a call to action to engage, and we're asking that folks engage this week. Many of the partner organizations who are part of our statewide coalition were in Sacramento yesterday doing rounds of budget-related meetings, as well as drop-ins and leaving materials behind as part of this work. But you don't have to be in Sacramento to be engaging in this work, although great if you are. This call to action toolkit is really intended for you to join us in that advocacy. It includes, if you have it open, I won't go through all of it, but just pointing out key targets for our advocacy. You can find also language that you can borrow from to send out emails, to to make calls, and also social media. If you can engage your comms teams on elevating this message across your social media platforms. So there's definitely something we can all be doing to uplift our housing needs. And regardless of whether it's this budget request or other budget priorities, now is the time to be doing that budget advocacy. And we hope that you can join us in this budget advocacy, because it is critical. And then the call to action also includes some background on why this work is so important, and how the budget relates to the bond, which is something we often hear in when we're in meetings with legislative offices, in terms of like, how does the budget relate to the bond, and why are both needed? Why are you here asking us for money once again? So hopefully that there's helpful background information there. And then the last thing I'll point out about the call to action is that it also includes district fact sheets. So you're able to locate the district fact sheet for the district that you live in, and our legislative offices always love making sure we're tying it to what this means for the communities they represent. So encourage you to use those in your outreach. But I think those are the main things. We just wanted to make sure folks kind of understood the urgency and what our housing and homelessness organizations are doing across the state to engage on the state budget. And we also recognize that, the budget negotiations factor in a lot of other, pieces. We know that conversations are actively playing out. And so we want to make sure that we are engaging as much as we can. And then if there are questions, feel free to reach out. Our information is on the call to action, but you can also get in touch with me. I'll drop my email in the chat, or with Mel, through Mel. Dan, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, here in Riverside, Sabrina Cervantes, chair of the budget committee in the Senate. So where is her support? Does she need more pressure, or is she very supportive of this request?
That's a good question. I don't know if anyone else has had direct conversations with her office, but it's my understanding that as it relates to, I see your question also on HAP. We need folks to be doing that advocacy, especially since it's seeming like there was some budget trailer bill language related to HAP, which is making it harder for HAP funding to actually get out. And so, as much as you can be speaking from your experiences with HAP, if you have experience with those funds or administering those funds or with that program, I think it's really helpful that you're elevating that. But I don't know if anyone else has in this group has specific insight into where Cervantes's office is sitting here.
We met with her not her, but someone from her office on the 7th of this month, just part of the bond sort of in-district work that we've been doing here at SCAMF. And we do always try to highlight the budget as well. So there was support in general from her team. I don't know if there's been any movement in terms of her signing on to any coalition letters or whatnot, but there was overall support, at least when we met with them.
Yeah.
Earlier this
I
month.
also can't remember if she signed on to, so in addition to this big letter of partner organizations, there was also 2 letters, one from the Assembly and one from the Senate, where members of both the Senate and Assembly signed on in support to champion this housing and homelessness ask. What we'll do is pull a copy of those letters so that you see what members signed on to the ask. And I think that's a good kind of indication of, because it's one thing to say, yeah, we're supportive of this, and it's another thing to actually like champion, right, the ask. So that I think will tell us like how where specific members are landing. So I'll make sure to pull those letters and share them with you, Mel, so you can include it in the follow-up.
Thank
Aisha, I
you.
know Stamp has been involved in a lot of this too, so feel free if I miss anything to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it perfectly, but yeah, we have been sharing that coalition letter with the offices we met with, just in case they haven't signed on to it. And a lot of the times, that letter gets sent to their capital staff, so we just try to really elevate it, especially with the folks in the district office that we meet. Yeah, I can't recall though if she had signed it or not, so I can't answer that unfortunately, but to answer Dan's question, there was overall support when we met with their office.
Thanks, Mel, for giving us the space to share out this piece on the budget. It's really critical. So always grateful for the time to share with groups in the IE.
Yeah, and I would encourage, I put the link in the chat, and I see a lot of people are jumping into the Google Doc, but it is extremely comprehensive. It's very, if this is something that is it makes it very digestible, very easy to call whoever. There's fact sheets. It's super comprehensive, this call to action sheet. So I encourage everyone. I want to actually just challenge everyone on here to make at least 2 phone calls to whoever it makes sense, who's a part of your region, whoever's closest, or whoever you have a relationship with, to make at least 2 calls this week, because now is the time to do that. And so it's going to be hard with housing, and it's only going to be harder next year. So it's important that we advocate now so it's feasible or doable, somewhat doable next year. So all right, if there isn't any other specific, I'm just checking the chat. So I'll follow up in actually just a newsletter form with any additional updates provided from Araceli, from the State Coalition and Enterprise community partners. So thank you so much. And now we're going to pivot to some pillar updates. If you are a part of that pillar space, you probably know that this month our strategic planning process has in every best essence hijacked some of our meetings, because it's a time and space where we can help double click into some of the survey information that we've gathered from you all earlier this year, and to better understand some of the results we got, to give some examples and talk through. So I wanted to first of all just thank everyone who's been a part of that. I know that you attending that space and attending, your attendance in some of our meetings is vital to move the work forward across the region, but is extremely vital for the Inland SoCal Housing Collective to know how we best support and position ourselves in the region, and how we can really, in tangible ways, move the needle forward. In creating more affordable housing and preserving more affordable housing. So I wanted to first thank you all for doing that. And I thought we could still spend some time with each pillar just to give a quick glimpse, because there wasn't much meeting. It was more of a planning process and feedback session focus group. But I also wanted to elevate that in June and July, or in July and August, we will have one final strategic planning meeting where we'll be doing we'll be looking at the strategies that the board has solidified that we've moved forward with, and that we'll double click into those and look at the implementation process. So in July and August, we'll be sending those meetings for our pillar group. So keep an eye out for that, as we'll be in that implementation process. I'd love for everyone to be there, because it's our collaborative work that really gets things done. So if we want to start off with Ayako, since you're off mute, let's start off with Housing Solutions if you want to give a quick update.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Ayako Tsumi here. I lead the Expansion of Housing Solutions pillar. We are about everything building, multifamily, middle housing, single family, everything in between that's affordable. Uh, you heard about big lots, small lots, big impact. And again, I really encourage you all to just get some inspiration there. And then I know Jesse, you NPH, you shared that 4BidNet website for text defaulted lots, and there was another website. So maybe we could put those links back in the chat so that people could take another look. Um, but I also wanted to announce that for those who are currently working in affordable housing development but wish to learn more, again, UCLA again has a 2-week, very intensive affordable housing development course. And we wanted to encourage people in the IE to attend. You can work it out so that you only have to spend 4 nights. It's all in person. You only need to spend 4 nights in a hotel over 2 weeks. So it's not a full, yeah. So anyway, it's a little more feasible to attend since it's only 2 overnights. And really wanted to encourage those, especially those working in cities, those working for perhaps smaller organizations or even larger organizations to check out how to learn the ins and outs of affordable housing. And again, this is done through the business school and the Center for Real Estate, the Ziman Center for Real Estate. And I'll put the uh, link in the chat. The applications close at the end of this month, so do get those in. There will be another round next year, and we are hoping to involve for UCLA to expand, out to the IE. Is there a way for us to partner with UC Riverside as our sister school and bring a true satellite program over to the IE, because we know we have many dozens of cities, many organizations who could benefit from this more intensive affordable housing development training. And again, especially the city and county government staff. So, announcement there that will be in the chat. And again, we want to encourage an IE cohort to grow so that we can justify bringing a full-fledged program out to the IE. And we meet on the second Thursday of every month, from 9 to 10 a.m. Email Melanie and she'll get you on the invite list. Thank you.
Awesome. I just seen. So, Jay, do you want to come off mute real quick and just give a quick update about our wealth building and preservation, and then Araceli will do the educate and advocate. And I know you just talked, but if you want to jump on, I could help. We could co-facilitate or just simple updates if you want after Jay does the wealth building.
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, I spent a little bit of time with some of our partners out in the low desert, Lift to Rise, and they're also working hard and expanding lots of opportunities out there. So it was great to see that. And I got a good response when I asked a simple question that many in our communities are concerned is, well, actually 2 questions. One is, what will an affordable development near my home do to my property value? And I haven't got a clear answer from a lot of our appraisal professionals in the area. We're hoping to have a presentation. So if any of you have connections with a local organization of real estate appraisers, that would be great. But I did drop a link in the chat that had an article in the last few years addressing that very point and saying some very positive things about affordable development and the potential to actually increase the property value. The other question that many people have is, when I get ready to sell my home, whether I want to or need to, who is going to buy my home? And so we need to be working on developing the next generation of potential, um, not just entry level buyers, but also move up buyers into different aspects of our market rate homes as well as affordable homes. And so people should be welcoming having a preparation platform for the next generation of potential buyers for market rate homes, um, in our various affordable uh, projects. And we certainly want to encourage people to utilize those as training grounds for people, not just to stay renters if their aspiration is to move beyond renting and into some level of home ownership. So that's a really important thing that came out of discussion this morning. We also have ongoing work with our faith based organizations wanting to bring financial literacy and housing affordability into their groups of individuals, their parishes, their membership, and what have you. And so we definitely want to continue supporting that. Out of a recent meeting, we have Dr. King bringing probably 1 to 200 different churches all around Southern California that are interested in participating in this. And we will be having others as well bringing this into their congregations in a variety of formats. And this is especially important because they touch a significant portion of our community that none of our other partner organizations touches, or is very unlikely to touch. So continue to stay with us and provide any contacts or connections that you think will be important, and continue to ask us for help with training for your staff. We have trained the trainer for both the financial institutions as well as for our nonprofit and institutions and government agencies. And so we want to continue rolling that out and moving ahead with that so that people will um, be able to adopt safe, affordable accounts through our Bank On program in this region. And we can lower that number of 1 million people who are refusing to participate in the traditional financial models out there and spending over $1,000 a year on fees, and move them into something where they can prepare themselves for affordable homes, for workplace homes, for market rate homes. So thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that update. And so Jay is leads out our wealth building and preservation pillar work. And so lastly, we have our educate and advocate for public policy pillar, and I'll go ahead and lead that out because I know Araceli jumped. Okay, so in our educate and advocate, we released a policy agenda. So there's 3 policies right now, 3 pieces of legislation that we're focusing on, that we're putting our efforts, our coordinated efforts behind, in addition to the budget. And so in our June meeting, you will see us, now that the budget, it'll be June, and the advocacy work around the state budget for housing will be accomplished, will be done. We'll readdress our policy tracker that we've been managing. So throughout the year up until the close of February, up until really now, we're tracking different housing policy that is the priority of any of our members and adding that to an overall tracker. And as things kind of level out, as things move forward or don't move forward, we're going to see what is still remaining, what requires some advocacy work, and if the collective wants to get behind that and write a letter. Or provide like a call to action, such as the state coalition did. And so as we move towards that in May and we see things that are moving or not moving, we'll update our tracker and revisit that again in our June meeting to see what the next few months look like. We also are harnessing a conversation about housing first in this pillar too, around some education and advocacy in the region to elevate what that approach is. As well as what is some data behind that, and what does that mean? I think there's a lot of knowledge that can be shared around this program framework, and so a little bit of that work will be harnessed in our educate and advocate for public policy pillar. And so if you want to look forward to next month in June is homeownership month. And so this in our monthly meeting, we're actually going to have a little bit of a presentation and panel on homeownership in the IE. So we look forward to rolling that out next month in our general collective meeting in June. And just in reflection, if you guys in April, we had 2 events. I want to thank everyone who came out to the Affordable Housing Mixer. It was great to see you all there. In addition, we had a faith-based affordable housing tour, which we had about 35 participants attend and participate, ranging from faith leaders and some field staff from our local legislation, funders, as well as just developers that were all in this space learning together. We had visited 3 different sites, Water of Life, their project there, their phase 2, in their housing project where they're building transitional as well as eventually permanent supportive housing. Then we went and visited Vista de la Sierra in Riverside and was able to see that completed partnership, and to see the beautiful site, see the residents living there. And then we went to visit Crest Community, which is building a little a community cottage of 13 units for youth, for emancipated youth, foster youth, or mothers with children in a more residential area. And so they're breaking ground. So it was really great to see 3 different projects, completely different at different phases too. I think a lot of our faith leaders who are considering doing this learned a lot. They were able to conceptualize and looked and understand the process as well as the grit that it might take to do it, and as well as the opportunity. And I think it further inspired many of them to partner and to move into this space of building housing, whether it's deeply affordable or affordable market rate housing, but to be partners of housing in this space. And so we're excited because that definitely unlocks opportunities, unlocks land in our area, and could be another strategy to build housing in the IE. So with that being said, if there's any other, we have, a little bit more than 10 minutes left. I'd like to open up this space to any of the members who have quick updates. If you have like a minute, come off and share an update or anything you want to elevate to the greater group. Please feel free to come off mute and share.
I just love to thank everybody for coming out to our NPHS Center for Community Enterprises open house. We appreciate everybody that showed up, and just thank you for your partnership. We're excited to get to work over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Carson. I was able to stop by a little bit earlier before it started, and it was great. It's a beautiful new office. Anyone else? All right. Well, I know the summer months are coming up, and so our meetings might be a little less attended, or there might be other activities. So I know we're entering that space. So I wish everyone a good end of the school year if that affects you at all with any for yourself or any children. And some happy summers if there's any vacation happening or travel happening or just general rest that'll be happening in June or July. We will have a homeownership panel, a meeting discussion in the month of June. But in July, we will go dark as we normally do just because of the busyness of everyone. So I look forward to seeing you all next month, and I will catch you all later. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
See y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.